I'm 29 years old, and I've been with my fiancé, Liam, for 10 years. 10 years. It feels surreal even saying it out loud sometimes. In a world where most relationships seem to fizzle out in months, we had built something long-lasting, peaceful, and consistent. We were the kind of couple that others looked at and said, "Wow, you guys are perfect together." And for a long time I believed it too. We met when I was just 19, a passionate culinary student working at the college cafe. Liam was already a nerdy, introverted IT guy in his final year, quiet, observant, with messy dark hair and a hoodie for every day of the week. He started showing up at my shift right before closing, ordering hot chocolate with extra cinnamon and sitting at the corner table with his laptop. I noticed his order before I noticed him. But over time, his shy smile, awkward charm, and the way he looked at me like I was the only person in the room made it hard not to fall for him. We fell into love like it was the most natural thing in the world. He made me feel safe. I made him feel seen. It wasn't dramatic or fiery, it was soft. Like slipping into a warm bath. And that's how our love always felt, safe. We moved in together a year after he graduated. First a tiny studio apartment where the kitchen and bed practically shared the same wall, then slowly upgraded through the years. We adopted a grumpy rescue cat named Tofu, planned vacations we could never afford, and promised we'd get married when the timing was right. That time never seemed to come, but we didn't care. We were in no rush. We rarely fought. In fact, we prided ourselves on how mature we were. No raised voices, no slammed doors. We resolved things with calm conversations and compromise. He'd listen when I was stressed about work, and I'd sit beside him as he talked about the most boring tech issues with wide eyes, pretending to understand. It was almost too peaceful. Like nothing could touch us. Until the silence started to feel too loud. I work in a fast-paced restaurant now, a small, bustling kitchen in the heart of the city. It's chaos. There are knives clattering, orders flying, chefs yelling, music thumping. I spend 10 to 12 hours a day on my feet, shoulder to shoulder with people in constant motion. By the time I get home, all I crave is quiet. But when I walk in, Liam's always there. His remote job means he doesn't leave the house much. He's been in the apartment all day, in silence, waiting for someone to talk to. Me. I love him. But when I open that door and hear his voice, cheerful, relieved, eager, I feel myself deflate. Not because he's done anything wrong. But because I'm too full. Full of voices, stress, noise. And now, even love feels like too much. I tried not to let it show. I tried to smile, to sit beside him, to tell him about my day. But I started keeping my headphones on longer. I'd linger in the bathroom just to get a moment alone. I'd offer to do errands I didn't have to do just to step outside. I felt awful. Like a terrible partner. Like a selfish, ungrateful woman resenting the man who loved her best. Then the opportunity came. A culinary exchange program in Europe. 4 months abroad. I almost turned it down. I thought, how could I leave Liam for that long? But when I told him about it, his eyes lit up. "You've always wanted this," he said, cupping my face. "Go. I'll be here when you get back." So I went. I landed in Florence on a chilly morning in March. My apartment was a modest studio above a little bakery that smelled like fresh brioche every morning. The air was new. The language unfamiliar. The silence? Perfect. At first, I was scared. I cried the first night. The city felt too big, too far. But after a week, I started to bloom. I woke up early and walked to the farmer's market. I'd buy ingredients and cook only for myself. No one asked me what was for dinner. No one waited for me on the couch. I sat in cafes and read. I made friends slowly, fellow chefs, expats, a retired painter named Rosa who drank too much wine and told beautiful lies. I discovered how much I loved walking in museums alone, standing still in front of paintings as long as I liked. I missed Liam, but not in the way I thought I would. I missed knowing he existed. I didn't miss the routine. I had never been alone in my adult life. Not really. From school to Liam, I had always belonged to someone. But in Florence, I belonged only to me. And I loved it. Liam came to visit me in my final month. I was excited, nervous, curious to see how I would feel. I stood at the train station, eyes scanning the crowd. And when I saw him, messy hair, hoodie, rolling suitcase, I smiled. I ran to him. I held him. I felt home. But then we got back to my flat. He was everywhere. Not messy. Not loud. Just present. He asked questions. He wanted to plan things. He filled the room, not with noise, but with needing. And something inside me shrank. I felt ashamed. This was the man I loved. Who supported me. Who flew across the world just to see me. But I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell him, I just need one more week to be alone. Instead, I smiled. I made coffee. I let him kiss me. But I knew something had changed. When we returned home, everything felt tighter. Even though we had a bigger apartment, even though we slept in a new bed with more room, I still felt like I was gasping for air. I started dreading the sound of his voice. I flinched when he touched me unexpectedly. I felt cruel. Like I was slowly poisoning something sacred. I wanted space. Real space. But how do you ask for that without breaking someone's heart? So one night, I sat him down. And I told him everything. I didn't sugarcoat it. I told him I felt lost. That I didn't know who I was anymore. That being alone made me feel alive, and being with him now made me feel crowded. He sat in silence. His eyes were wet. He nodded, but said nothing. I whispered, we might be breaking up. He looked up. Do you want to break up? I didn't answer. Because I didn't know. The next morning, he was gone. Not forever. Just his things, packed neatly into a duffel. A note left on the table. I love you. I want you to find yourself. I want you to breathe. I'll be staying at my brother's. Take your time. We'll figure this out. And he did. He gave me space. And for the first time in years, I let myself be selfish. For the next 3 weeks, I lived alone. And this time, there was no guilt. I redecorated the living room. I cooked what I wanted. I played jazz in the evenings and let the silence wrap around me like a warm coat. I also missed him. But I missed him in a new way. Not out of habit. Not out of obligation. I missed the way he held my hand when I was anxious. I missed the way he made pancakes badly but always tried. I missed his kindness. But I didn't miss the version of me that shrunk to fit into a relationship. I wanted to come back as both, my whole self, and his partner. Then one night, he texted. Walk tomorrow? Same bench? It was late spring, the city humming softly with the scent of trees and hope. I met him in the park where he had first said he loved me. He looked the same, but calmer. As if he'd been doing his own soul-searching too. We walked in silence at first. Then he said, I've been thinking. Maybe we never learned how to be apart. And that's why we lost ourselves. I nodded. I needed to remember who I was. And now I know. And I still want you. He stopped walking. So what do we do? Go back to how it was? No, I said softly. I want something better. That night, we made a plan. 2 apartments. 1 relationship. We each have our own space now. He lives 3 blocks away. We have dinner together 3 nights a week. We plan sleepovers like teenagers. We text, we flirt, we grow. We go to therapy, separately and together. We talk about the future, but with fewer expectations and more choice. We no longer assume closeness equals constant presence. And somehow, in the space between us, our love grew deeper, louder, more alive. I almost left the best person I ever met. Not because I stopped loving him, but because I had forgotten how to love myself. Now I know the truth. Real love doesn't ask you to disappear. Real love says, I see you. Even from across the room. Even from another apartment. And that's the kind of love we have now. The kind that breathes.